Sweet Talk is a weekly 20-minute podcast brought to you by the Continuing Education Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. This podcast is part of our continuing outreach efforts, and the format is conversation. We're having conversations with businesses, professionals, entrepreneurs, community agencies, and in all cases, difference makers. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So subscribe today. Take 20 minutes and hear from people living in your community who are making a difference in your community. It's time to get started with Sweet Talk. Hello, everyone. This is Jason Batalden with Continuing Education Workforce Training. I'm the assistant director here. And this is Sweet Talk. And Paul, you're on the show today.
Yes.
As almost always, I should say. Paul is with us today, as almost always he is.
Yes, glad to be here this morning. We are recording this on a Monday morning that feels very much like a Monday morning.
Yeah. We could actually, maybe that should be a podcast. What does it mean to have a Monday morning? Because I think we could definitely have that today for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, just want to throw a plug out there. We've got our fifth and final episode of our series, a podcast about podcasting by podcasters. I said it right. I think that's the first time I said it right.
They usually let me do that.
I know. I just wanted to live dangerously today and see if I could do it. Hey, anyway, so that's our fifth episode. It's up. It's on our website. It's on all SoundCloud. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple.
Yeah. And for the fifth episode, we have a guest with joining us on that episode.
That was a pretty cool conversation. And a guy who's experienced with podcasts on different levels. And I think you would enjoy the conversation. It kind of sums up everything we talked about and kind of puts it in a practical level. Maybe where I wouldn't say we were all that theoretical the first four episodes, but it was nice to have a real conversation with someone who has done the same things we've done and has done some of the things differently. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice to get a different perspective on that.
Yeah. So be sure to check that out. As always, be sure to contact us, send us an email, reach out to us, give us a call. Anyway, make comments. Paul and I, we love doing podcasts and we'd love to help you put a podcast together. Now, with that being said, we also have our guest on the show today who I will just have to admit is kind of really essential to the work that I kind of do here at Sweet. And that's on the marketing side. We have Michael Waite with Bone Frog Creative. I asked him earlier what title he wanted to say. And so we went through a list, anything from owner, CEO, CFO, including janitor. So again, one of the joys of owning your own business, you get to have every title that they can possibly have. And so Michael, welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
Michael is not only the Bone Frog Creative, which is a graphic design and marketing business. I don't know if that's the right term, but you'll square me up if I'm wrong. All right. But he's an instructor. He teaches here at College of Technology. He has taught several classes for us here at Continuing Education Workforce Training. And we are just really glad to have him on the show because there's a lot of questions I know Paul has and I have kind of about this business. And we're just glad that you're here. So with that being said, I got to say the magic word. And Paul, you remember what the magic word is?
Yes, it's welcome.
And there you go. And our guests, the people who do listen to our show know that we have 20 minutes. So Michael, welcome to the show. And why don't you share a little bit about yourself just to kind of catch the rest of our listening audience up to speed?
Well, I've been in the creative services game for 35 years or so. And when I was in college studying graphic design, I graduated just on the cusp of the whole desktop publishing revolution. I remember the graphic design majors, we took this field trip to Salt Lake City and we visited this big ad agency and they showed us around. And as we were getting ready to leave, the guy that was giving us the tour, he says, "Oh, one more thing, I got to show you guys this." He takes us in this room and he shows us this little putty colored box with this little screen. Kind of looked like it was made by Mattel, right? But it was a Mac SE And, like, this is the future, guys. And he grabs this little thing with a cord on. He says, this is a mouse, and it moves this cursor around the screen, and you can make square box, and he gave us a quick little thing. And I remember leaving going, wow, that's interesting. And it wasn't 3 years later that I had bought my own and taught myself the tools. I mean, that's where it was going. And I realized that, and so much of the technology that I use now is all kind of self-taught. And but I grew up just always building stuff, creating stuff, drawing. And when I chose graphic design as a major, I said, I'm going to give it one semester. I'm going to go all in, take all the major classes, and I'm going to see if I got it. I knew there was, there's a level of talent and dedication and involved, and I just wanted to see if I could cut it. And after I was done with my first semester, I found that I really enjoyed it, and I found that I had what appeared to be enough of the skills to pull it off. And so I went in full blast and haven't looked back.
Right on.
Wow.
So it was just that creative piece that kind of motivated you, or do I use the word artist or graphic design? Is there a difference? And this is just my ignorance. So,
yeah, graphic art is a pretty common term, and you have commercial illustrators who don't do as much of design, or they're more centered on the illustrations themselves. But I knew that I didn't want to go after the fine art. That's where you're sort of creating your own passion and painting what you want and then hoping somebody likes it. In this field, you're doing what the business wants and what the customers want to see. And what I really enjoy about it is it's always something new. It's a creative puzzle every time, and that just sort of keeps me motivated and engaged. And being working for myself, being a freelancer, I get all kinds of variety. It's not the same business, it's not the same products and services and the same customers, and so it keeps me on my toes, and often I find myself having to learn a whole new industry because I've picked up a client that's in that industry, and so it keeps it interesting.
Very cool.
Cool. So how long have you actually been a graphic designer, Michael?
About 35, 36 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I worked for a couple of ad agencies in Durango, Colorado, and then in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And then I went freelance. It's coming almost 30 years now that I've owned my own. I've owned my own shop. And
which leads me to this all important question that I've always wanted to ask you. Why Bone Frog?
The image came to me first, the frog skeleton, right?
Yeah.
I don't really remember exactly where I saw it or something similar. I think it was a lizard skeleton or something like that. And I thought,
yeah,
it's all about sticky, right? It's all about, because I've had lots of questions like that, and that means people remember it. Right. And so it does what it's supposed to do, and that's keep you sticky in the mind of the people out there that may buy your services.
I had this vision that maybe you were inspired by like your high school biology class or something when you had to dissect a frog, and all of a sudden was it. This is it. This is whatever I'm going to do next. I'm going to name it this.
So, you already touched a little on the birth of digital design, but you've been doing this for 35 years. So that means you've seen a dramatic evolution in digital design over those 35 years. I mean, I'm kind of like a, poor man's, and I'm sure I've sent you files that I've done on my own, and I'm sure you shake your head going, I really wish you would just not even do this.
Or better yet, take my class.
but to see that evolution, how has that affected you over the years? I mean, as far as learning stuff and also purchasing new equipment.
Oh yeah, it never ends, right?
Yeah.
I thought I had it figured out once I mastered the Mac and Quark Express, which is what the agency was using at the time, and that was the predominant page layout software, and of course now it's not even on the map anymore. So softwares come and go. So you learn new software and then you hang on for dear life until you finally have to go somewhere else or you have to upgrade, and operating systems are continuing upgrading, and I buy a new Mac system every 2 or 3 years and pass them on to the kids, and then the internet comes along and in the 90s and so, okay, learn how to code, learn how to figure that, and that never ends, right? There's always new standards and
Well,
yeah, it's just a constant stay up with it.
yeah, well, that just what you just said there, that little piece was, oh, the internet came around and I had a code because so many businesses, so many people out there think, oh, I need to, have someone design my web page. It should be the same guy that does all my other design work. Is that what you found, that people just assumed, hey, you're doing my other design work, you should be doing my web page design as well?
Well, and that's what they preferred, because I was already dialed into who their customers were, what their products and services were, and the look and feel and what we were trying to do marketing wise. And
Sure.
so it was just sort of a natural step to take care of their web page. And there was a time when I thought that, I mean, it felt like I was drawn with oven mitts on, trying to use the internet was so, the web in particular, where we are, where e-commerce takes place. It was so rudimentary and frustrating to use. And I actually quit. I actually said, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. And I told my clients, we're going to find somebody else. And that lasted for, about 6-8 months. And my kids are like, Daddy, we're hungry, let's start making some money. And so I'm like, okay, we'll go back. The customer, the clients want it. Let's suck it up. Let's stay up with it. Let's get good at it. But I am a front end developer. I certainly don't know the database and all that back end stuff. And I have people that I bring in when I need that kind of specialty stuff. But I handle the front end, the look, the copywriting, the whole, this is what the website's going to do, and make sure that it's designed to do that.
I guess this conversation, and again, a little bit of my naivety, but I mean, I guess I'm just thinking as far as the impact of the digital age, and the web internet itself. I would say that probably your industry, graphic design, is probably had the greatest impact. I mean, when you go to, have you ever visited a large ad agency that has those machines and those spaces that you did, when you visited 35 plus years ago when you were in college? I mean, I imagine now they're all desks and laptops. I mean, the industry has changed so much. I'm trying to think maybe another industry that might have had that kind of rapid change of how business is done.
Yeah, especially an established industry, where you just
Right.
had to throw it all out and start. Just a quick experience. I was I was the art director for an ad agency in Colorado Springs, and occasionally we'd get calls from students who were just graduating. They say, hey, can I come by? And we did what we call portfolio reviews, and we'd look at their work and we'd give them advice, and I had art directors do that for me, and so I was perfectly well. Anyways, this young man comes in. He just graduated from a 4-year degree in a school in Colorado, and I'm looking through his stuff, and I see all this conceptual, but I don't see any finished, any Photoshop, any desktop publishing work. And I said, "Where's all your computer stuff?" And he says, "Oh, well, we didn't do any of that." He says, "My professor didn't believe in computers."
Oh no.
And I said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but you are unhireable as a graphic designer because you cannot use the tools." I said, "If I had a job right now, you couldn't do it because you can't use the tools." He's like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" I said, "You're going to have to go back to school and this time choose one that believes in computers, or buy the system and teach yourself." And that's just a very stark example of how it shifted. And anybody that didn't want to go that direction, you were finding yourself doing something else.
Yeah.
Left behind.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
going down the same kind of path, but a little differently is, so because computers are so accessible now, and because the software is so out there now, how many like wannabe designers do you run into, or clients that, say, hey, I did this amazing thing. I just need you to tweak it just a little bit.
Yeah. All the time. Yeah. There's a lot of people that charge a lot less than I do, and turn out their product. And I have found that there are people who recognize value, and those are the clients that I work with in a whole. And if somebody says to me, hey, I can get this cheaper, then I'm like, go for it, give what you pay for, and move on. And that sort of removes that stress from my life anyway. It's really hard to work with people that don't see the value of experience and talent and skill. And I've always brought more than just the design. I bring the marketing savvy behind the design, and the deep dive that I do in the industry, so I really understand their customers. It's such a mistake that so many businesses make, is they think everybody's their customer. And that just absolutely is not the case. You have got to find the best customers, right? Those with commercial intent, those that are going to give you the most return for the least amount of work, not only in your marketing efforts, but in dealing with them on a customer service basis.
Right.
And if you try to be all things to all people, you end up being no good at anything, and you have a lot of unhappy customers. And so there's got to be a focus.
Well, and I think the other side of that is then it becomes very frustrating, whatever it may be, whatever job you're doing, when you're constantly up against that, and you haven't zeroed in on what your target is and what you're trying to accomplish, then you just become frustrated. And then the work itself, whatever that work may be, that's just my random opinion on it, but
it's true, because you work hard and you get very little.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, with a lot of low value people who are sucking your time.
Yep.
Well, I do appreciate your design capabilities. I know that, again, I know I send you things, these outlines, and then you will send me back something that you've taken this whole rudimentary thing I've sent you and give this completely amazing polish and design concept to it that I didn't even think of. The graphics, and then you just make these little tweaks here and there, and I'm going, well, geez, I thought it was pretty good when I sent it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, there's value in what you send me, because it gives me an idea where you want to go.
Well,
You're the expert in this. You're the one dealing directly with the customers and the clients. And so once I understand where you want to go, then I can take and expand on it. And I know, having worked with you over the years, that I know that you're pretty acceptable to what I come up with. I have clients that, the kind of guys, right, that say, well, if I had to go in for brain surgery, I wouldn't want any anesthesia, because I want to tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So I love the clients that say, hey, you're the guy, you're the pro that I've hired, and here's my direction, and then go.
Well, and plus, if you send someone, if you hiring someone like yourself and they send you something, you should look at that and go, and just be able to see how improved, or how nice it's designed, and the layout has been improved. And I look at that, the stuff you send me, and went going, how does he do that? How does he
do that?
Well,
I guess I was kind of not on the same idea here, right? The same idea as you got customers send you things, but the same conversation about the industry changing. So, I can't say we're on the back end. I can't say we're in the middle. We're just somewhere still in the middle of this COVID. Something's going on, and it has affected across the board just about every industry. In fact, I would hard pressed to find one that COVID hasn't had an impact. The last year and a half or so, how has your industry been affected by COVID? Is there a higher demand now for graphic design? Is the internet and the World Wide Web become more significant, or I'm just curious, what are you seeing?
You know, just the fact that I work for myself and have select clients, and it doesn't take a whole lot to keep one guy busy, right?
Right, that's
Didn't
true.
really affect me workload wise, but I did see how companies were forced to pay a lot more attention to their online offerings and their ability to meet their customer needs without having to answer the phone. Websites are just this incredible marketing tool that is so underutilized because it's treated like a bullet point brochure by too many companies, and
Right.
it really can do so much more. It can carry a huge marketing load, and then all the other marketing efforts that you make should drive people to your website. And if your website's built right and contented correctly, they find what they need without having to pick up the phone. And then you're not tying up your people answering the same questions over and over. When I start a web development project for a new client, that's one of the things I always say is, don't go talk to your receptionist, talk to your salespeople, the ones that are on the front line with the customers. What questions do they answer over and over and over again? And let's make sure that we answer those in the website, whether it's a FAQs page or just in context, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that'll just take off a big
Very
load. And then people at 11:30 at night, they get the question answered, right? They're not having to remember to make the call or give up and go somewhere else.
Yeah. So here's my next question then. What's the future of print marketing, like flyers and posters and catalogs? Is that going away, or do you see that also? And maybe this is a question you should say, come to my class and I'll tell you. I don't want to, maybe you're giving away a free information here. And now I feel bad for asking, but that's my question. I mean, in a world where everyone was stuck in home, how important has the print marketing become, or how insignificant has it become?
I think print marketing is just it's sliding down. It's deteriorating little by little, but again, it really depends on your customers. If you tend to have older customers, older in age, who are still not quite, they don't spend all day on the computer or looking at their phone. They're still not quite comfortable with everything online. Then you definitely have got to put printed pieces in their hand because that's where they're most comfortable. But I think as the years go by and the upcoming generations who are just immersed in technology, their life is in technology and on their phone, it'll be less and less important. You still may need some brochures in racks, in a hotel lobby, if you're a venue for, you got canoeing services or something like that, and because people will still pick those up. But again, more and more people just move to the web. They roll into town and they pull up their phone and they start searching. Where do I eat? What's to do? And if you're not online, they won't find you. So it's going away slowly but surely.
All right. Well, the timer just kicked off, and that was almost perfect timing. But I guess, Michael, what I'm really appreciating most about this conversation, or I guess the thing that I'm holding on to, is this industry that you're in, this graphic design, sounds like it from its very intent, right, has to stay ahead of the curve to a certain degree. You have to stay up on stuff. You have to know where things are going. You have to recognize how to reach clients and customers. And in order to do that, just from your experience, your story of going with that young student, if you're not willing to stay ahead of things and put the work in, this probably isn't the field you should be looking at.
Yeah. It's a challenge, and it's an opportunity really to just stay engaged. And there's evergreen principles that are never going to go away about marketing and about good design, but we have to stay up on top of the tools and the way it's done and the implementation and how we reach the customers. That's the work. You build the foundation, and then all the stuff, all the tech stuff on top of it, the delivery vehicles, so to speak. You just have to stay up with what that's all about, and you'll be fine.
Very cool. Michael, if someone is listening to this podcast, they want to get a hold of you, how can they?
So bonefrog.com. Got my contact information on there, and they can hit the catalog, the suite catalog, and find. I've got a couple of classes coming up in October. One on Photoshop, one on graphic design. That they can join the class, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, and we definitely want to plug that. You do a couple course classes for us each go around in the spring and fall and summer, and we definitely want to make sure that people know they're out there, and they're well worth it, especially if you're getting in this field and you want to learn more about it and be able to use it for yourself. I think Michael, I get the impression, Michael, you like to share information.
Yes.
Right. And share knowledge. And I think that's a neat thing, especially in this industry.
Don't do that. That you keep it all to yourself.
Well, to me, he shares knowledge. What I'm getting, you share something today, and 6 months from now, you're going to have new information to share just because the industry has changed that much in 6 months.
So tech guy, I have to ask one last question. Michael, what is your main computer?
It's a iMac 27-inch desktop.
Excellent,
I like the big screen real estate. If they made a bigger screen, I'd probably buy that.
I think the new one's going to be bigger. Are you going to get the M1?
Yep. I'm ready to move up to the faster chip.
Okay. Excellent.
About speed, bro.
It's all about speed.
It's all about speed.
There you go. Well,
all right.
Michael, thanks for being on the show today. As always, if you're listening, you want to get a hold of us, you can email us at cetrain@isu.edu. Be sure to check out our website at cetrain.isu.edu, and call us, Paul, at 208-282-3372. There you go.
So yes, please reach out to us, contact us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep. Thank you, Michael, for being on the show. We appreciate you.
You bet.
Thank you.